Yeah, this is one of those interesting times a year, I feel, like the January, February block, which is like at the end of the year when everybody goes back to have a retrospectus of like games that came out, and you start to like remember a bunch of games that got lost in the shuffle. I don't actually know what we're discussing because this is an Alex game, not a me.
So I got a game from Crave for Christmas.
Great.
Or for my birthday. We kind of didn't do a huge Christmas. We just kind of exchanged some games. We kind of just got a house. It's like most of our money's going to be going to that. So it's like, do you want to just get each other a few games maybe on Steam? It's like, yeah, that sounds ideal. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So everything's on sale. Let's get some games.
Sure.
So anyways, one of the games I got is going to be this games you didn't think we'd play. But Nathan, I would like to first address the fact that this game that I'm going to tell you right now is probably not one you'd think I'd play.
Well, that's good because that's the name of the segment.
Yeah, exactly. So Nathan, you're familiar with what games I like.
Yeah, I'm aware.
More or less. Do you think I like tense games?
I think that if it's in a strategic game, you usually do.
Sure. How about survival games?
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure I know how you feel about survival games from the Ark discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not happy about them.
Flip side of that is, what would you think if I told you the game I'm about to talk about has been on not one, but two different people's top games of 2022 lists that I've watched on YouTube?
That would be very odd because you don't usually play a lot of like top end games.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't.
So that's why this one's interesting. So,
okay. Excellent.
A game that I had put on my wish list I thought was interesting, but was kind of iffy about getting it because of the game itself.
I have a thought of what you're talking about, but I bet it's not that.
So the game I want to talk about is Hardspace Shipbreaker, which I always get the name fucked up on trying to say it because it's a mouthful. Hardspace Shipbreaker.
Fun fact, I have played a little bit of it too.
Good,
so
good.
I'm at least familiar with the kind of thing that you're going to talk about, so good.
So this is both on Adam Millard's top 20 games of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
The architect of games, I believe, is who he is. Mm-hmm. And then Yahtzee, who just did his best, blandest, and worst of 2022. It is in his top 5 as well. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about it because I've been enjoying it. It's not the type of game you'd think I would normally enjoy, I think.
Yeah, it's not. Like, having experienced it for a little bit, it was definitely not something I thought to myself, oh yeah, Alex would enjoy that.
Yeah, and I was like, this game looks interesting and like it could be fun, but I'm really unsure, so I didn't buy it. It doesn't have so much of a plot that it's like, oh, this is too much to handle. It has you're in debt by about $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
And so right out the gate, instead of this heady, super crazy thing, they hit you with you're in debt.
Yes.
You are signing your life away to this company. It's got a little bit of like Aperture vibes to it almost.
Yes.
It's like the company owns you literally and physically, and like, here's the ridiculous stuff. You're signing your life away. It's like, okay, I see the comedic stuff here, I like that.
Yeah.
But hitting you over the head right away with just you're in debt by $1.2 billion is like, oh, there's an immediate goal.
There is.
Get out of debt.
Yeah.
Is it attainable? Yes. Will it take a lot of work? Also yes, but it's doable. Just the way they have done everything, like style-wise, really great. Links, the posters you can get, Link's safety third, that's great. Just this tongue-in-cheek humor, but also like, it's, when you get into the game, they do a really good job of teaching you slowly.
They do. Those first ships that you get are not particularly complex.
No. And I like that they add, every time you rank up, they add a little bit more complexity to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm rank 13 right now, out of like 34. The rank I just got, I think, is level 2 reactors, maybe. And so those ones, instead of just pulling them out of the ship, you have to take the coolant out, and then you have to take the reactor panels off, and then take the reactor out.
Yeah.
So I like that it ramps up the complexity as you go. It introduces you slowly. Here's the core concept. All right, here's how to move. Here's how to use your thrusters, how to use your armaments, as it were. You know, it teaches you that. I think the gravity, I don't remember what it's called, the gravity gun.
Oh, yeah, we're just going to call it that.
We're going to call it the gravity gun. The gravity gun's really cool. All of the base concepts in the game are just really neat. Like, you're in 0G. You have thrusters. You can move left, right. You can turn. You can pivot. You can do whatever you want. But I think it's really cool that they mess with physics by, with that gravity gun, if you latch onto an object that's heavier than you and try to pull it towards you with it, you get pulled towards it.
Yeah.
If you try to push that object away to throw it, it pushes you. You know, it obeys, like, you know, that law. And I think that's really cool because you can use it to your advantage.
Right. More, like, when I played it, I thought to myself, okay, well, this is kind of a puzzle. This definitely feels like a puzzle kind of game, and also a little bit of a physics-based sort of puzzle game.
It's problem-solving, puzzle, physics, but also they add in the survival mechanics to it.
I was probably like 3 or 4. I did a few ships. I actually just remembered that I played it when we started talking. I had forgot about it for a while because I played it when it first came out. My initial thought process was how interesting a concept it was. I probably didn't enjoy it as much as you did, but I thought that the concept of, like, yeah, what if you were just, like, on salvage duty to break down the ships that are in orbit? You never think that that's going to be a game that functions. You usually figure you're gonna fly the ships. Now we gotta break them down and scrap them. Like, you're the space chop shop, and you now have to break these things down without killing yourself in the process.
Which is also a real hazard, too. I have definitely pulled something off a ship, had it come flying, hit me in the helmet, and rupture the face mask so that my oxygen leaks out and it kills me. I've only died a couple times, thankfully.
That's good.
Because, you know, it's expensive.
Yeah, I think I fell into one of the one of the reactors, one of the scrapping places. I think I fell into.
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so the game, it's pretty fun. Like, I've, again, put like 16 hours into it, and I'm still, like, wanting to play it.
Well, that's good.
Because I kind of equate it to games in the vein of, like, power washing simulator.
Yeah.
Or, like, car mechanic simulator, which I've also really enjoyed. But it's got more to it. I've played a ton of car mechanic simulator because it's just kind of relaxing fun and just, like, a little bit of problem solving and tinkering and whatever. It's really simple, but it's entertaining. This one gives you a lot more going on, which is one of the things that those games I wish had.
Yeah.
Because the survival mechanics, you know, your suit integrity, your health, your oxygen, and then fuel, and then your weapon, not weapon, but your stuff has durability and will break down over time, so you've got to do that and repair it. Sure. And everything that you're buying adds to your debt. Then you're taking your debt and getting rid of it slowly by salvaging these ships. And then the writing and the humor is pretty great. The characters are all interesting, and I don't think you've got far enough into it, but you get a, not an admin, but someone from the company comes to your Olympus station because they're like, hey, we heard that someone's trying to organize unions across the network, and we're going to send administrators to the places to make sure things are going right. And this guy's a fucking dickwad. It's like, you hate him, everyone else hates him.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm curious where the story's going. Like, am I going to get out of debt? One of the other people's like, hey, I want to kind of make my own shop someday and, you know, do this without links. You get stickers from doing achievements, so you can decorate your cutter and your grappling gun, whatever. Yeah. So those have crazy stickers on them. It's really cool. I've been enjoying it because you've got to use your brain a bit.
Oh, no, not my brain.
I know, all right? Me too. But you've got to use your brain. You've got to figure out, like, what you want to take away from the ship first and salvage first.
From the very start, you see the new ship come in, and you're immediately starting to think about order of operation and procedure. Okay, how do I dress this and why? And then they do give you some scanners so that you can start to look at, like, where your actual hard points are and where everything is soldered together, where you can cut and how you can cut those apart. And so you address it as an actual order of operation, procedural sort of thing. They just don't specify how the procedure is going to go. You have to figure that out.
And then, like, say you accidentally use your cutter and go into a fuel tank, and that explodes, and suddenly you've got the ship in pieces for a section, and you're like, oh shit, my bad. I've done that several times, caught myself on fire.
Yeah. And then, how much money am I going to make off of this?
And then, of course, you've got the bar up at the top, which is like, you've got goals for your salvaging of the ship.
Yeah.
And the more parts that you destroy or accidentally throw in the wrong spot, the less you can make on it. So, like, oh, suddenly you can't pass that number 5 goal because you've gone too far, like, breaking parts down.
Yeah.
So it's like, try to get the bang for your buck out of the ship. The sessions are like 15 minutes that you get, and then it's like, all right, day's over. You're done salvaging ship. But it doesn't give you penalties for not finishing. You can go back in and do the same ship until it's done. And I generally do. You can also collect things in there. You get a point where you get another ship for your own person that you have to, like, salvage parts from ships you're salvaging to put into the ship you're trying to repair.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not like it's super intensive. You kind of go into your computer and it's like you just add them to the thing.
Sure.
And you've got this thing that'll help you do it. It's very minimalistic, but it's like, all right, I need these parts. And I can get, and so you're looking at the list of ships you can salvage, and you're like, all right, here's the list of parts I need. Here's the ships and what parts are possibly on them. So then you're going, all right, well, I'm going to salvage this ship because I need a piston and a rod. And this ship has a piston and a rod.
Yeah.
So then you can salvage those, or you can salvage, like, computer terminals. And doing that makes them worthless scrap. You can extract the stuff from the terminals, but then suddenly they go from being worth hundreds of thousands to being worth, like, 700 scrap for the furnace.
Right.
So it's like you gotta weigh your options, like, all right, well, I want to make that goal up top, but I also need this part here.
Yeah.
So what do I want to do?
Right. Right.
And then there's, like, decompression. I don't think you got far enough to deal with decompression.
No.
Some of them are pressurized still. You have to decompress them. There's electrical, there's cryo, radiation, heat damage. All these things can affect you. You can try to pull a computer off the wall that's still attached to, like, the circuit, and then you get shocked by it.
Perfect.
For instance.
Love it.
I like that they add all that complexity in there, and you don't have to do it.
Right.
But you can obviously make more money by doing it. They kind of give you the reins to go about this however you'd like, in increasing levels of complexity. But you don't have to engage with those systems if you want. They're just more lucrative if you do.
I liked that they kind of set up this idea from the very start, like you said, I need to get out of debt. And then they frame it in terms of, like, you being in your office, choosing what ship you want to take, and then going out. So that you have the strategy part of also figuring out what ships you're actually going to take apart, and then going out, trying to do that, getting back, and then utilizing that information in order to do the next one, and so on. Yeah. I had forgotten that I played it, and that it came out in 2022, until you just mentioned that, so I guess I have to add that somewhere onto my list of my games for the top to bottom. Best to worst. I probably wasn't as fond of it as you were, only because it came out at the same time that everything else seemed to. Yeah. So I, like, jumped off of it to play some other things.
I think a couple people had said, I think especially, like, Adam Millard was like, this game came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And he's like, it was kind of a sleeper hit. Like, it's really fucking good, but, like, it definitely deserves more attention than it got.
That feels like the theme from 2022 as I looked back on all of the games that I played, is that most of the ones that were actually worth your time were probably ones that fell so far under the radar that most people didn't know that they came out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. Yeah.
I would say for you, if you still have access to it, I don't know if it was Game Pass or not.
It was. It's probably still on there, so yeah.
Well, if you still have access to it, you should go back and try it again for a little bit before you do your best and worst of 2022.
Yeah, I'll go tool around with it, yep.
I've really enjoyed it. I'd like to actually get your thoughts on playing it in the recent memory, what you thought were. Maybe we can talk about that in the Discord even if you want to, because you don't have to record a second segment for this. But I know, it was one of those things where, again, I was really unsure if I'd like it because of the premise. And I was like, oh, it's got survival stuff, and I'm not usually a huge fan of survival mechanics. But these ones aren't intrusive. Like, my oxygen lasts almost the entire thing.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
Like, I can go an entire 15-minute session, and, like, I only get to the like needing oxygen in the last like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I can actually, if I'm in a pressurized environment, I can regenerate oxygen as well. You get perks for that. I like that you can upgrade all your perks.
Yeah.
To make your equipment better. The survival mechanic is something that I don't have to engage with often.
Right.
It's like maybe once a mission. Twice if I'm stupid and I rupture my helmet.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because you mentioned that as a survival game, and then when you said it was Hardpoint or Hardspace.
See, look at that.
Shipbreaker.
Name's hard to do.
Hardspace Shipbreaker. I was like, gee, yeah, you know, it's interesting because I didn't remember it really being so much of a survival game when I was playing it. I mostly considered it to be like a physics-based puzzle.
Well, 2 of the game modes you can do are ones that give you only 30 lives. If you die, they just reclone you. But this one you can do like, it only gives you 30 lives. Good luck.
Yeah.
And then there's you get 1 life and then you're dead. Like a hardcore mode.
Oh,
so it's
that's
like,
an Iron Man. That's like an Iron Man.
So it's like, okay, so the survival elements are still there. Like, you can die. You can get caught on fire, electrocuted. There's many ways you can die. You can get exploded. Your suit can get destroyed. You can smash yourself in the head with a really heavy object, or you can fly against it. Maybe you can probably fling yourself way too far out there, and it might kill you too. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
You can probably get into the furnace and get immolated. I'm sure that doesn't help. Probably processed. Don't know about the barge.
Yeah. When you say space survival game, the first thing that came to mind was that, did you play Breathage? And it's like, no, I don't think you probably did. That's very much more like an actual game that's set in space that takes more of like a Subnautica approach to the...
I've seen that. It looked interesting as well, but
it's
different
not
kind
as
of
good as
interesting.
Subnautica. That's all I'm going to say.
I didn't play Subnautica, so that's fine.
Okay. Well, if you were going to, I would say probably play Subnautica instead.
But yeah, so I thought the game was really cool. I'm going to probably play more of it this weekend.
Great. Excellent.
Again, it's a game I thought you wouldn't think I have played or would enjoy. So I felt like we should talk about it.
No, I didn't think you would either play it or enjoy it. So
it's also a game that I do feel deserves a lot more than it got. I've looked at like how many people are playing it when I've been on, and it's like 700. It's like this game is actually pretty good. If you're into physics-based puzzles or problem-solving, logic, or gravity, flinging stuff into furnaces, space, or survival, or even just a game that's kind of a cozy game. There's a free space, Limitless, whatever it is.
Limitless.
There's a mode that you can just do that gets rid of all the oxygen and survival, and you can just break ships apart at your leisure.
Yeah.
You know?
Very cool. Yeah.
If you're someone who likes that kind of game, this has options for you, which is really rare to see, I think, in a game like that. That lets you have both a standard campaign, a limited lives, a hardcore mode, and then a free mode.
Yeah.
Oh, also they have another one too that I think that has not speed run, but like a leaderboard too, like a race.
Oh.
So it's kind of got stuff for almost every kind of gamer.
Yeah, as long as the mechanics work for you of how to play the game, you can play it in a multitude of ways. So
yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is one of those interesting times of year, I feel, like the January-February block, which is like at the end of the year when everybody goes back to have a retrospectus of like games that came out, and you start to like remember a bunch of games that got lost in the shuffle, and you like can reevaluate them again. It's almost a really good time for a lot of those smaller games that didn't have giant ad budgets to come back and say, hey, remember we exist, because everyone's starting to recap. So that's good. Shipbreak Hardspace.
Hardpoint Break Shipper.
Yep, that one. So there you go. If you've played it, please let us know. And if there were any other ones that fell by the wayside, any games in 2022 that you'd like to remind me if I might have played, because I can't remember, please let us know in the comments down below.